it.
Hey everybody, it is Mike Bruce with Life Starts with Food Health Coaching. I am here with Erin Powers. Erin and I first met do you remember how we first met?
I do. I want to hear you tell it though.
So I wasn't the happiest guy. It was a slightly angry phone call. I met Erin. She is at the time, you were the new product developer of the Primal Health Coach Institute.
At that time, I was the student and graduate support person, and it was a brand new role. So
yeah, what's your role now?
I'm the coaching and curriculum director now.
Yes, coaching and curriculum director. So she got a phone call from me as I was finishing up the course, and I was angry because I felt like I was kind of shorted. I was one of the first people to go through the new program, and I was told there'd be all sorts of business development side of things, which was in the works. And you got to hear a guy really upset, but you took it so gracefully. And from then on, we kind of built a small relationship, like moving forward. Every time I called, I either got you or Laura. And in fact, I don't know if I told you this, but when I first talked to Laura, the website wasn't even live yet. And she goes, "How did you find this?" And she's like, it's live, but we haven't advertised it. And I went, I didn't know what she meant until like a few weeks later when I started getting emails about the health coach course being live. So again, like everything else, we were just talking offline. It's a God thing. God things just keep happening if you leave yourself open to it. So
I remember that conversation too, Mike, because I had been in the role for a couple days and I didn't really even know what my role was. And I hadn't even gotten my feet wet in working for Primal Health Coach Institute yet. And so you were the very first student I ever spoke to, student or graduate I ever spoke to. And you were frustrated, but your frustration came from, you weren't an angry guy. I would never remember it like, oh, what a monster Mike was. It was absolutely constructive, which I appreciate. And just so you know, it informed a lot of what I then went on to help build in the course. I needed to hear from a frustrated graduate that there was more you needed. And since then we've built it, 10 times over as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
I can't keep up with the new stuff you guys add. I really can't. Like with where I'm at in life, with my health coaching, I work at a practice now. It's hard to keep up with, every few months I get an email, "Hey, new stuff coming out with Primal Health Coach." It's just incredible. You guys do tons of training webinars, everything. So back to your intro. So Erin actually has quite a few certifications and a diploma under her belt for nutrition. You graduated from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition in 2014 with a diploma in holistic nutrition. Yeah. And you went on thereafter to work to get your Primal Health Coach certification as well. You have this incredible superpower. If anybody watching has ever watched your social media in any way, you have, and I love people's superpowers. Yours is taking what I call, because I do this myself. I take simple things and make them way too difficult. And that's nutrition, right? And we all do it with health and nutrition and food and dieting. And you take this super simple thing that no one makes simple, that everybody goes too hard into, and you just break it down in the most simple terms. So you take this simple and make it simple.
Yeah. Well, it's in the name, right? Eat Simple. Yeah. I dreamed up that name when I was in holistic nutrition school, because I had gone to holistic nutrition school because I had, like many people, had a health transformation and was, I guess, frustrated that the conventional wisdom had failed us so miserably. And so I wanted to go get a credential, and the holistic nutrition realm seemed kind of the most in line with what I was looking to put out there. But even it was too fussy. We were learning about food combining and, all these nutrient deficiencies, which is important stuff, but it was not helping to unmuddy the water for the health consumer, which is who I advocate for, the health consumer who's bewildered. Yeah. So I'm in the back of the classroom, like, this is still too fussy. Why do we insist on making this so overblown? And I came up with the name Eat Simple. I bought the domain in the back of the classroom. And so simple's in the name, and I will not deviate from it no matter what.
Yeah. And so speaking of names, do you remember when I was texting you different names for mine? And
Yeah.
I was like, we were going, so life starts with food. I meant to actually click yours up, not mine. So that's your website, your domain, everything you have on Facebook, social media, everything. It's so cool. And it's like everybody hears that and they go, crap, how did I not come up with that? And for me, my whole life changed when I found the right food. And so life starts with food just made sense to me. It was like life starts in the kitchen, life starts with food. And you helped me out a lot with that name. And then it was like neither of us knew. It's like neither of us ever heard about the book, It Starts With Food. Is it Melissa Hartwig? Let me get my camera back with you here. There we go. Yeah, I think Melissa Hartwig, It Starts With Food. I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. How did I come up with this?
Well, I remember when like life starts with food. I think I did know the book existed because it's on my bookshelf, to be honest. I haven't read it, but it's on my bookshelf. But life starts with food is different enough. And I was delighted that domain was still available. And I was like, dude, you got to snap that up. Like that one's going to go quick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All the social medias and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and a little transition from that, you've spent 20 years in marketing.
Yeah.
So you do have a really good eye for how to like that. I think that's part of where it's either your ability to take simple and make it simple is part of what made you such a great marketer, or being in the marketing made that so easy for you. I don't know which.
Yeah, I would say really like my marketing career was big business marketing, which big budgets and big. And that's not remotely in accordance with how a small business owner, like whatever the big business marketers are doing, small business owners can't or should not do that. It's very different. And the other thing too is that I've been in marketing since the late 90s, and you can imagine that it's changed a lot. I mean, it changes every 5 minutes. So what I actually think, I had a conversation with a gal last week who was just seeking some kind of basic mentorship pep talks. And I said, you got to tag to your aptitudes. And I definitely have an aptitude for writing, and I have an aptitude for technology. That's kind of it. And that's honestly how I made it through my marketing career, because I was a writer and I could, whatever the new technology, the new platforms came out, I could easily pick them up. So those are two aptitudes that I brought to the table that have really served me well in building my own brand.
That's awesome. And that's where I've struggled. So it's really cool that you said that. I struggled forever, and that's why I'm doing this. Yeah. Like I can't write. I don't like to. I get in a flow state maybe once a year, and I can bust out like 3 or 4 pages and I go, wow, that's really great. I should do this all the time. And then the next day I can't. Right. What I can do is talk, and I can interview, and I don't like the tech side. So that's why Facebook Lives are so terrific.
Yeah, exactly. It took you a few tries, but you stumbled across your aptitudes. And if you're hustling to create in a medium that's not comfortable or intuitive to you, it's going to suck. And as far as I'm concerned, we get to be the masters of our own domain. I'm not going to do things that suck anymore. I work for myself. I'm only going to do things I like. Yep. That there's simplicity in that too. Simplicity is really woven through my whole life in any way. But Mike, like you really are a natural at getting people chatting, and this is a perfect medium for you. And you found it, or it found you. And that, I think any small business owner will have that aha moment if they're just open to receiving it and not trying to micromanage it. Yeah. You know?
And for all the health coaches that might be tuning in, because I did throw this out there to our community so they could get more, just learn more about you. Anything that came business related for the last 2.5 years, 3 years of my business caused pure misery in my life. For the last 2 months since lockdown, I started this during lockdown. I have not felt this fulfilled since high school football with 1,000 people in the stands cheering for me.
Yeah.
Like
there you go.
That. So I feel like this 3 days a week. Yeah. Because I try to interview like 2-3 days a week. If I miss a couple of days, I start feeling depressed. I don't get depressed. And like, this is just my thing now. It just makes sense to me. And it makes me want to do this. And I'm sure this is going to jettison my business in directions that I can never imagine. And all of this comes from make simple simple. So thank you very much for that.
No, I would love it. I love that you said that, and I hope everybody heard that. Like, Mike found a medium that brings him true, pure joy. So when you get up and do these lives, it's barely work. You're feeling fulfilled. That's what it should feel like.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that there, for a lot of people, there is an element of hustling or whatever we're going to call it, hashtag hustle. I hate that word so much, but there's some elements where like you got to figure stuff out. Like you had to figure out this platform, although it sounds pretty easy, a little bit of figuring out. But then once you get into the swing of it, it's like, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is my thing. And oh, my cats just came in. Oh boy, here we go.
Locked in a different. He's out. I'm locked in a room. He's outside. So.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so thankful and grateful that you found this. And I mean, you've been looking. We can say you've been looking for your medium for a few years, right? So it wasn't just delivered on your doorstep. You had to kind of seek it out. And so that's an acknowledgement to you for doing that work, putting in the time. And here we are, delivered to something that really fulfills you.
And I always thought it was podcasting, but that didn't work for me. That wasn't making sense. And I have a podcast with a friend, but you know, as soon as you have somebody that's doing all the technical side and they have a hiccup in their life and they can't do it, then you're on hold. So we haven't podcasted for 2 months. But this takes nothing from me. No technical know-how. I hit broadcast and it goes. So it's really great. And so something else that because we're still in the intro of who Erin is. So Erin is in the Great White North, Canada. You are near Calgary, about 45 minutes from Calgary and Banff, if I'm not mistaken. I am wearing my Canadian tuxedo today.
Oh, are you? Double denim. Nice.
Just for you. You can't tell, but I'm wearing linen pants because I want it to be warm outside and it's not. But you don't know that. So
no, we wouldn't wear a lot of linen in Canada. It doesn't hold up, but I appreciate the effort. So
we already have some comments from people. Guess who?
Oh, it's Chris. Hi, Chris.
Chris, I love Chris. He is one of the nicest guys ever. He's already been on here. One of the things that cracks me up about Chris is we used to be one of his top 5 people. And now he's expanded it to 9.
Great point. Chris, you've got some explaining to do.
What the heck? I'm dying to go to heaven. I love Chris. And then a friend of mine, Lori Ann, who's always watches these. She's in a referral group I'm in. Business owners, if you want to network locally, get in a referral group. Coaches, no one knows you're a coach unless you're out there. So get in a referral group. I've gotten, it might cost you $200 a year. You make one client, you paid for it. So referral groups.
So what is that, Mike?
So it's not like a networking group is just you get out there and you network, right? Yeah. So, but a referral group is your whole point is to refer business to other people. Mm-hmm. So we have a chiropractor, tree cutter, contractor, real estate agents. You kind of try to build a couple little groups inside the group. So there, it used to be me, a massage therapist, and a chiropractor, and it's kind of just me right now. So you have like these little mini groups, and like you get really good at referring to other people, and they eventually refer to you as well. So it's just this mutual friendship and relationship. You're building a marketing team that's free.
Yes.
So
give me 1 sec, Mike. I have to wrangle cats. I'll be right. I'm just going to kick them out. I'm going to kick them out and shut the door.
That's no problem at all. But so yeah, everybody that's watching, referral groups are a great option there. Man, that was fast.
Yeah. This is actually, this little cute office with my cute backdrop, which I use for stuff like this, is actually a cat's room. This is where their food is and stuff. So
yeah,
you know, we're complicating.
We should get to like the whole reason that I had you on. Like I should have just been like, hey, can we just hang out and chat someday? And this could have been the conversation we had. But let's talk about the real reason I had you on was satiety versus satisfaction. I want to hear what you have to say about this, because one of your phrase for your business is have an effortless relationship with food. And that is genius. So I've had satiety. I never had satiety in my life until literally last year. I went full carnivore because I have so many gut issues. And then for the first time in my life, after about 2 pounds in one sitting of meat, I almost started crying because it was the first time in my life I ever actually felt real satiety.
Wow.
That's not a very common thing for people, but it was the first time at age 34 that I felt that. So what is satiety and satisfaction?
It's a powerful tool. So I'm going to keep it simple. And so too bad, because that's how I roll. I refuse to make this fussier than it needs to be. We could talk at great length about the scientific elements of satiety and what's happening biochemically in the body. But as far as I'm concerned, the way I describe it to my clients is, and leading up to the experience of satiety, you have to have put together a plate of satiating food. So that's a whole learning. I do teach my clients, like, I have a lot of analogies around different types of fuel, like batteries versus gasoline, or the small campfire versus the big campfire. Lots of really simple, easy to get analogies. So they're understanding how food kind of behaves in the body. And once they have that understanding, it's like, now you're going to answer hunger with a meal, which is actually my first rule. But the flip side to that rule is, and then eat to satiety. And the feeling of satiety, presuming you've put the plate together, because there is a little asterisk, like if you could eat Oreos for a long time before you were satiated by them, but if you got the right plate of food in front of you, you put the fork down. The fork just goes down. It's like, I'm done eating. I am now nourished at the cellular level or whatever. It's not full. It's not, I got to unbutton my pants, I can't breathe. Like, it's completely different. It's this peaceful sensation of just putting down the fork. And this idea of having a peaceful, effortless relationship with food is what I want for people. I want hunger to show up quietly, just like, oh, look, I'm hungry. And then, oh, look, I'm satiated. And have it be just these mellow undulations of hunger and satiety that are not a big deal. Satiety is actually the foundation of my health coaching business. I work with people to repair metabolic dysfunction and create the effortless relationship with food. And learning to understand satiety and create satiety is foundational to that.
Yeah. So something you said there, which, man, and this is what happens every time I hear you speak. You strike a chord. So a peaceful, having hunger be a peaceful, like, process.
Yeah.
Having satiety be a peaceful process. That's just amazing. So there's no hangry involved. So once you get, I always tell people, it's kind of like, hunger is your body wants either protein or nutrition or both. So once you fill a plate full of nutritional protein, then the hunger signal just kind of comes back later more gently.
Yeah, well, Ted Nyman's book is probably the book I should have written 10 years ago, but his book is that protein energy sort of idea where the body is either looking for protein or it's looking for minerals, nutrition. The body is always asking you to provide inputs. And that's your job as the pilot of the meat suit, is to provide the inputs that the body asks for. But what's broken in that relationship is our ability to pick up the signals, and the signals themselves are broken. So we do have these excursions of hunger, like these hangry, just blood sugar crashes, and then we binge and we hit the shame spiral, and it's all this up down kind of chaotic, crazy stuff that is just literally no way to live, and not even how we're designed. It really is designed to be these mellow undulations that you don't notice.
Yeah,
that are in the back brain. I always use this front brain, another analogy, front brain, back brain. This is not remotely in line with any kind of actual neurobiology, but as a metaphor, the front of your brain is where, like, important shit lives, like your life and the things you like to do. And the back of your brain is where survival mechanisms live, like eating, breathing, avoiding danger.
Dave Asprey calls it the 3 Fs. Food, fight, and fornicate.
Yeah.
But
the front of our brain is where food is, culturally, there's a cultural implication here, but food has been put right front and center. And I know when I was metabolically broken and embroiled in a lot of like dysfunctional and disordered eating and exercise behavior, all I thought about all day long was what I was eating, when I was eating, how much of it, was it too much? Was it enough? Was it the right one? Was it the wrong one? How am I going to burn this off later? Like 100% of the time, all the time thinking about food. And that's not in accordance with our biology or our nature at all.
Yeah. I find with me, and this might be helpful for people watching, when I can't stop thinking about food, when I'm craving food and just nothing satisfies me and I just will eat, it's because there's something in my diet that I'm intolerant to. So we were talking that I had to go full carnivore. Well, when I went full carnivore, it took maybe a couple of days. Well, the first time around, it took about a week, but that was the first time ever that I stopped craving everything. And I've been paleo, primal, keto for 9 years. And that helped tremendously, but it kind of came back a little bit, it kind of creeped back in, just that craving and that lack of satiety. And when I cut grains out, for sure, that knocks the stuff out. I became intolerant to eggs recently, and I found I was just not satisfied after meals, and I cut eggs out. And sure enough, that satiety thing went away. So for me, I think it's a hormone imbalance that's being caused by the by foods that I'm intolerant to for whatever reason. So it's really crazy. But when I just break it down to just meat, I don't have a satiety problem. I don't have a hunger problem. I don't have a craving problem. It just goes away. So I really do think it comes down to an intolerance. So if you have a thorn in your foot, pull the thorn all the way out. You don't leave it partway in, right?
Yes.
Or you don't go to the doctor and say, hey, doc, give me a pill for this. You take the freaking thorn out. So,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of people don't feel empowered to experiment. You know what I mean? Maybe you've seen this in your clients.
I didn't for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So. And you know, I'm running a little group program right now where I just for 30 days kind of immerse a group of people into my teachings in a very high level way. It's not like individualized coaching. It's really just kind of learn and practice. And like it's so fascinating to me, the questions I get, like about like, is it okay to eat this way? Am I going to create deficiencies? I'm like, what happens if, you know, and it's like, yo, it's just food. It's just food. Like, try it. If you don't like it, mix it up. Like we really got to take the pressure off ourselves a little bit too, because it is, I don't want to say just food, because food's important, but I also don't want to create like this sort of orthorexic approach. Like the effortless relationship with food is what I want, for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take their current food obsession and just deliver them a new food obsession. I don't really like food obsession, and I don't really like food dogma.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I struggle a little bit with some of the language in the keto and the carnivore space right now. It's like, just calm down. It's just food. But you have to be willing to experiment, especially if your body is delivering signals that something isn't working.
Yeah.
And it's empowering. Like, oh, well, I can yank the thorn out of my own foot. Like I'm empowered to do that.
Yeah.
But people don't feel that way sometimes.
And you got to be willing to adapt. So Mr. Keto here, everybody's got to go keto because it changes lives. While I'm experimenting with carnivore, I've found that no keto sugars work with me right now, but honey is delightful.
I can't with those keto sugars. I can't. They're so wrong. They're so wrong inside my body.
Yeah. They send me, they're one of those things that send me off. So I can handle, like, once a week, if I'm doing something, I can handle maybe a couple drops of stevia or something. But yeah, I have a whole, like, again, being blessed with burdens. God has given me all these crazy things in my life. Like, hey, just going carnivore is not going to be good enough. You have to go meat only, no salt or anything on your meat to get rid of these satiety problems. Who in the world has to do that? But I had to do that for like 5-6 days, and boom, all of a sudden it was gone and everything was fixed. But you know, it's a slow progression back into things. But like every step of the way, you just have to be aware by experimenting. But that's what I love about you is you probably don't have a lot of clients that are nut jobs like me. That's like, man, I tried it all. But when you do have this big community you can reach out to and ask all these questions. Yeah. So, and you have had a lot of health issues over the years.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my health journey came from, I was pre-diabetic, which just didn't make sense. Like I was not the poster child for pre-diabetes. I was a fitness instructor. I was teaching way too many fitness classes all day, every day. Plus I had a full-time job. So teaching fitness classes around my full-time job. I was eating the sort of gym rat bodybuilder kind of diet, and became pre-diabetic. And it was like, that doesn't make sense. In fact, I rejected that diagnosis, and I didn't know anything about any of this stuff because I had just been bought into the conventional wisdom in that the fitness industry created. And I'm super apologetic because I still am in the fitness industry. And I think that we really bewildered a lot of people with just bullshit information. And so when my doctor told me I was pre-diabetic, I said to her, like, that can't be, like, that doesn't make sense. Explain to me how that happened. And she's like, oh, well, she didn't really want to, she kind of dropped a couple bombs like, well, you mentioned you have a really stressful job. That plays into it a little bit. And then diet does and exercise. Anyway, I got to go. And I was like, first of all, what? Like my job? That was the first time anybody had ever suggested that lifestyle inputs could impact metabolically how you show up in the world. Yeah. first thing I did was quit my job, and you better believe some of my symptoms already diminished.
Oh, wow.
But then I set out to learn. I just set out to learn. And I think maybe when I think about like working with my clients, I think that they're like, I think I'm an outlier because I wanted to learn. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And not everybody has that type of personality or attitude, which is why clients need us, because we figured it out for you. We will take you through it. And you're the same way. Anybody I think who's gone into health coaching is kind of an outlier in that sense, in that we were able to figure out our own health problems. But, you know, just to kind of briefly sum up, as I kind of touched on a second ago, what made me pre-diabetic, in a manner of speaking, was the conventional wisdom, like following all the rules to the letter. And I wasn't eating McDonald's. I wasn't having big gulps. I was a fitness obsessed exercise junkie.
Yeah.
And I only ate lean proteins and healthy whole grains and steamed vegetables like 9 times a day. Overtraining, which I learned like, oh, that's not good for you. Good to know. I thought, yeah, just a process of deprogramming and reprogramming, unlearning and then learning. And the unlearning and the deprogramming is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And that's where your common sense, just to bring it back to full circle, that's where your common sense, simple is simple approach comes in.
Yeah.
Like
simple, but not easy, because the thing that I work on with my clients the most, like I teach them a whole new metabolic paradigm, how to eat, all that stuff. But the first thing I teach them is like, okay, forget everything you knew.
Yeah.
Just lobotomize yourself. And but they still find themselves going back to diet behaviors, you know, ordering their salad with the dressing on the side and buying the low-fat yogurt. And it's like, that's not your fault. That's not your fault. You've been programmed.
Low calories.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're thirsty, it's appropriate to drink. That's an internal feeling we get. So if you're hungry, eat. Right? It's like, don't starve yourself. Your body's requiring the nutrition to help you burn fat. Yeah. So eat until you're done.
I completely agree. And the fact that you just named and shamed hydration culture. Like, you got to carry around a 4-liter jug of water with, it's like, but what I will say, just as a caveat, is that most people's hunger signal is completely broken. So we can't just say, when you're hungry, eat. We have to do a little bit of like manipulation of, that's where, there's kind of a whole sort of journey we get to before the person can actually listen, love, and trust. Listen, love, and trust is this like another little catchphrase that's kind of bubbling up for me. But like, yeah, listen to your body, and like love and trust that your body's got your back, and it's really delivering a request for you to provide the survival inputs. But a lot of people show up with broken hunger. So if I said to a brand new client, okay, you're going to listen to your body, they would be elbows deep in a bag of potato chips, right? Like, that doesn't work right out the gate. It has to be worked on over time.
Something I've been doing lately, because I've been the whole carnivore thing has taught me that just in general, we don't eat enough protein. That doesn't mean you have to go carnivore. It just means you're not eating enough protein. So I've been telling people, trust your hunger when you're hungry for meat. Yeah. If you're hungry, but you're not hungry enough, and I can't remember where I heard this from, probably the Strong by Design podcast or something, but if you're hungry, but you're not hungry enough to open up and eat a pre-cooked hamburger from your fridge, you're probably not hungry.
Yeah.
But if you're craving meat, eat it. If you're craving red meat every single day for 10 days straight, eat it until you're done. And then if you're craving salmon, eat that. Eat that until you're done, day after day after day, until you don't want salmon anymore. That is the one true craving you can follow, is meat. Yeah. So,
you know, I put a lot of importance in protein. In fact, in my little group program I was talking about yesterday was the protein day. Yesterday was like, okay, let's talk about protein and why it's important. This is where we start talking about satiety, start like socializing the idea of satiety. Protein is highly satiating. And so the question always comes in from this group, well, how much? And so what they're looking for is something that they can track on their app. And it's like, no. The answer to how much is more. More. Just have more.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need to count it. Just have more. It's very hard to overeat protein. Like if you were going to binge on rib steak, you'd have a hard time. Yeah. Like you put the fork down eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to know how much body or how much protein your body wants, literally cut everything else out except for just red meat for a couple days, and you'll see. If you just eat like twice a day, like a lot of us do, 3 times a day, you'll find that like, okay, I'm going to eat one meal until I'm pretty well done. Or you might have like an 8-ounce steak and be like, well, I guess that's good for now. And then later for dinner, you have an 8-ounce steak, and you're going to find you're getting really hungry.
Yeah.
Between. So just then the next day have more.
Yeah.
So you can heal being kind of hungry for a few days.
Yeah. And I kind of talk about the satiety power of food. It's like, and again, I'm really trying to get people away from measuring things. So I'm like, look, don't make this a big deal. But when you have your breakfast meal and we're prioritizing protein, just pay attention to how long that satiety lasts before hunger shows up again. And if we can just stretch out those intervals a little bit, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Because then you'd be less hungry during the day, and then maybe you'd have fewer meals. Maybe by accident you'd come in at a caloric deficit, and oh, look at that, you've lost weight.
Yep.
Right. But I don't want them to be like, I'm trying to fast. The fasting culture
it's extreme now.
It's the biggest thing I have to deprogram people from now. It's like, well, I thought I was supposed to be fasting for 16 hours. I'm like, I didn't tell you to do that. Like, no. Just eat when you're hungry.
It's an awesome thing. Yeah, it's an awesome thing. But fasting is just not eating right then. You still have to eat the calories.
Yeah. Well, what I teach my clients to do because we talk about fasting, I'm a proponent of fasting. I probably fast, honestly, 18 hours a day, but I don't make a big deal out of it. It's not like I'm not wearing a shirt that says intermittent fasting. It's just how my hunger organically shows up. But what I teach my clients, I teach them how to break fast before I even talk about fasting. Because if you don't know how to adequately break a fast and appropriately break a fast for metabolically supportive metabolic support, it's not going to work. Like I fasted for 30 hours and then you just like the wheels fall right off when you break the fast. That's not a good health behavior. It's kind of, you defeated the purpose.
Yep.
So anyway, so I try to encourage people to recognize the satiety power of their meal. And like, oh, that one only lasted me 2 hours. It's like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what can you do to maybe get that up to 3 or 4 or 5 hours just for fun, just like be a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Maybe I could put in a third egg on the plate. Great. Let's try that.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the most simple, best teaching ever. I love that. What does, based on the satiety that you're talking about, what does breaking a fast look like for you?
When I teach my clients learn to eat the way that I eat. Basically, I think that's how a lot of bacon. So I tell them a few things. It's like, okay, I want you to break fast epically. The break fast meal. Okay, I'm not here to say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but I do believe your first hunger is the most important hunger of the day, because that's your body saying, yo, okay, rise and shine, or whatever time of day it is. I don't care if it's morning or not, but time to fuel this machine. So here's a hunger signal. Could you do me a favor and really just fill the tank? I do believe the first hunger of the day is very important. And part of the reason I believe that is because I really buy into circadian biology and circadian meal timing. So I like this sort of early time restricted feeding or front loaded feeding paradigm that's been really impactful for me and for my clients. So I want that first break fast meal to be epic. Protein for sure, protein forward, almost exclusively protein. Mm-hmm. Like people will say, oh, can I have a couple berries? I'm like, okay, sure. Put a couple berries on there, but like predominantly protein and like just nice, rich protein that has fat in it. I'm not a big fat pusher. I don't want people to like be putting butter on everything and in their like you don't have to add an avocado to every plate, but like the fat that naturally occurs in that protein. So break fast epically, and then that fills the tank. Yeah. In a manner of speaking, this gasoline versus batteries analogy. And in that analogy, protein and fat are gasoline and carbohydrate is batteries. Mm-hmm. Not that batteries are bad, but they're just quick, cheap, fast, easy, portable. Like they're too fast to fuel a beautiful, amazing machine like this. So break fast meal, make it epic and protein forward. And that's kind of the only rules around break fast. But I do like to, it's funny how my clients, this starts to become part of their vernacular, and they're sharing pictures of their epic break fasts, and competing and comparing like who broke fast more epically, and it's cute. Like it's great. But then if you have an epic break fast, then your subsequent meals kind of just naturally taper. Yep. That taper is actually interesting. The very, very first change I made to my health when I got my pre-diabetes diagnosis, before I stumbled across any of this ancestral stuff, I stumbled across a woman who wrote a book called The Last 15. And it was a hormone balancing approach. And it was almost exclusively meal timing. Mm-hmm. So it's this front-loaded paradigm, this early time restricted feeding paradigm. She connected it back to like the nature of animals, which really speaks to me because I'm a crazy nature and pet lady. And I'm like, we're animals. Oh yeah, we're part of nature. Duh.
Yeah.
This is how a human animal is meant to feed itself. Anyway, the schedule of the eating, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the break fast is the most important hunger. It's the hunger that's most important to answer, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah. In the paradigm, in the context of an intermittent fasting paradigm, it's really damn important, because if you just push to fast for 18 hours or 20 hours or however many damn hours you want to fast, that break, that first meal when you break the fast is very important. You can get that one right.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I mean, because literally you have kept nutrients from your body. Mm-hmm. So it better not be chocolate. It better not be a bulk of vegetables. You're not getting vegetables are great if your body can handle them, but you're not getting the bioavailable nutrients that you need for that fast. So your body wants to spike hormones in the best ways possible after you fast. So. Well,
and if you think, I remember back to my crazy fitness days, there'd be some times where I would have had a 4-hour gym session. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, I'm hungry. I made a big hole. I'm going to go fill that hole with like beer and nachos at the pub because I can afford it. That's absolutely that. So if you're fasting for the sake of fasting and you're creating this deficit, like if you don't have your mind right before you get into any kind of fasting paradigm or any kind of fueling paradigm, you can really screw that up. So that's why I always teach people to break fast before I teach them to fast, because you can, and you think about it in the context of people who do like OMAD. Like I think about Todd White, the guy who owns Dry Farm Wines, famous OMAD guy. And it's like his one meal of the day needs to have all of his body's nutrition in it. Like that's along
with a whole bottle of wine that he drinks, right?
I know,
like at least every day. So
he's my hero.
I'm not gonna lie, me too. But a couple weeks ago, I had a guy on named Theo Lucier, who's a really interesting guy. Before he even knew what healthy was, he found the warrior diet back in his 20s. I thought the guy was my age or younger, and he's in his 40s. Wow. And he's been doing OMAD, one meal a day. He looks like physically fit. I mean, he's got muscle on him, not a ton, but he's muscular. And like that blew me away, because I've done OMAD for a short period of time, and I know I was not eating enough when I did that. And it was for a couple months. Now, if I did it, it'd be a little different. It would be probably 2 pounds of meat in a sitting. It would have to be that much for me. So
I've organically done it. And this is where Listen, Love, and Trust comes back into play. It's like there's periods of time, seasons of life where I'm less active. And, in the winter, in the brutal Alberta winters, I'm not out puttering around. I'm hitting my gym workouts. That's kind of it. And my appetite predictably is quieter because I'm putting out less. That makes sense. So it's like, I'm just going to have this one meal. Oh, it was 800 calories. Boy, if you were looking at it on paper, 800 calories a day, now you're in starvation mode. But no, that's what my body only needed. And I've got fuel on my body. Don't worry. And I'm a metabolically flexible person, so I can tap all kinds of fuel sources. Don't worry about me. My body asked for some food. I provided it. It was like, that's enough. And we called it a day.
Yeah.
Right. So like OMAD, intermittent fasting, and keto, even these things came super organically to me just by tapping to satiety, hunger.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the way I found keto, I was primal for probably a year. Like bulletproofy primal, didn't know what keto was, never heard the word. And I got really drunk off of like a beer back when I was still drinking beer. Like 1 or 2 beers, I got hammered. And it happened like 2 or 3 different times. And my wife just was harassing me, calling me a lightweight. And then all of a sudden I heard a podcast, probably, who knows, Dave Asprey, Dom D'Agostino, one of those guys. Yeah. And they brought it up. And I just went, oh, I wonder if I'm in keto. And I started like thinking, like looking into what that meant. And I was like, oh yeah, I eat like like no carbs at all. And so that was how I figured out that I just organically did keto.
Yeah, that's how I think it should be. And I think Mark Sisson is pretty. He's the best because he's so non-dogmatic. Like my favorite Mark Sisson story is that after 7 years of not eating bread, I went to Mark's house for a Christmas party, and there's bread. I'm like, Mark,
yeah,
you're the one who told me not to eat this. But he's like, meh.
Yeah.
Like literally, he didn't care.
Yeah.
But like this non-dogmatic approach, it's but Mark's opinion on keto is like this keto zone. Like we were never meant to be full-time ketogenic. We were in and out of it depending on what was available to us. Like if the honey was there, we availed ourselves of the honey and kicked ourselves out of ketosis, and then
brain dead for 2 days and then go right back to keto.
Exactly. Right. So that's how I live my life. I'm in and out, tapping different fuel sources kind of all the time. And that's sort of the metabolic nimbleness that I believe the human is designed with, like with amazing, elegant design. Like even the fact that we can store fat. Here's a reframe. Somewhere along the way in the last few months, I've started to be wildly impressed that we can store fat. It's like, do you know? Listen, your body can store fuel on it. So for later, if you run into food scarcity, you've got fuel on you. Isn't that amazing? Because for so long we just hated it. It's like, makes me look gross in a bikini. But it's like, no. Recognize the elegance of that. Now, most people's the fat liberation half of that equation is broken, but we can fix that with some minor work. But it's amazing, right? Like it's like, wow, this is amazing technology we're walking around with.
I think we're mentally tied because that's been happening to me. Like the last 6 months, I've been telling people like, hey, there's a reason we can only store so much sugar. Like we can store an infinite amount of fat. And like, if you're really storing fat, it's because somewhere in your ancestry, you had like a famine and your cousins or whoever couldn't store fat, they died. Your parents were really good at it. And like, this is a cool thing.
Do you know what I watched last night? I had a craving I don't know why. I've been craving like disaster movies lately. I don't know. Anyway, I watched Alive, one of the rugby players, the plane crash in the Andes, and they had to eat the dead. Basically, they're dead. And I was like, you know what? I'd be so good in a plane crash. Are you kidding me?
I know how to butcher. So I mean, like, I hunt and butcher my own animals, and so like I'll just make sure I'm there with you. I don't know if you can butcher at all, but
I'd love to learn how.
I would eat people before I ate a dog, probably.
I would eat people. I said to my husband, I'm like, you know what? I'd eat people. But I could go many days before it got to that. Like, I'd be like, don't worry, I'm fasting.
You guys eat Johnny. I'm good for now.
Yeah.
Get out of this. The helicopter's going to come before I have to. Don't worry.
That's right. That's right.
So I cannot keep a general guideline of interviewing. It just turns into conversation every time. So to finalize this satiety versus satisfaction, I think we covered it. But satiety...
Satisfaction is different than satiety, though.
That's what I was going to ask, yes.
Okay, so for me, satisfaction is, wow, I'm so lucky I get to eat this. So like really literally loving your food, like just loving it. And I don't know if people think I'm faking it or just putting on a show, but when I sidle up next to a beautiful New York strip, which I probably have 8 steaks a week. Like it's not new for me. It's not novel for me to eat steak. But every time I'm like, yes, oh, look at this. This is beautiful. So and every bite is just like, oh, and I literally feel love and appreciation and just like, I feel like I'm so lucky. I'm like, I'm the luckiest. And that food is also supporting my metabolic health and all my health, my humanness. Right. And so there's something really cool about like that mental or psychological shift. And this comes back to breaking fast. Like if you break fast epically with this beautiful meal, that's just like, ooh, you're training your brain to feel rewarded by that. It's sort of Pavlovian, like I literally salivate over a steak, even though I eat 8 steaks a week, because I've trained my brain to absolutely love this food. But I can sit in front of a bread basket all day or a big pizza and it's like, Now, on the flip side, if I answered my epic first hunger of the day with a caramel macchiato and a muffin from Starbucks, I'm training my brain to grab to act to the reward of that.
Yeah.
I'm creating a Pavlovian response there, that conditioned response. Like there's a conditioned response piece of this. So it's like, I want my clients to love their food. And there's other layers to this too. It's like, oh, I don't really like fish though. So, but I'm like, well, then don't eat it. Don't eat food you don't like. Don't eat organ meat. I hate organ meat. Never going to eat it. I don't care. Paul Saladino, I'm not touching it. But like every meal I sit down to, I'm just like, yes. Yeah. And that's important psychologically, I think.
I agree. Sometimes so I hunt, so I have a lot of deer in the fridge. And as I start running low on the steaks, I'm left with ground meat. And I love organs. I eat a lot of organs, heart, liver, tongue, kidneys. I eat whatever I can get my hands on. I love them. But I'll get to where like I have nothing but ground deer for like 4 or 5 days straight. And I find that like, okay, it's not as tasty today if I just throw the whole thing in the skillet and cook it like that. So I make burger patties and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this tasted amazing. Or I'll make a sausage patty. Like I'll put my own spices in it. Sometimes one of my favorite restaurants in Ireland is called the Rustic Stone. We were there for like 4 days in Dublin. We went there twice. They bring out a hot stone with your steak on it, almost uncooked. They just sear it. You take the steak off, you cut it and put it on the stone and cook each bite as much as you want. Every bite is the first bite.
Oh,
right. So I will sit in front of my oven, which is probably not good for the EMF, electric oven, but I'll sit in front of my stove and I'll have the cast iron skillet and I'll cut my steak up in pieces, put it on one bite at a time, salt each bite individually. And I have a stool and I'm a squatter when I eat. So I'll squat. I'm squatting on my stool, balancing, trying not to fall over. And like that, like, it's just pure love and gratitude in a meal.
Exactly.
So it's just taking the things, like, you don't need all sorts of flavor to get satisfaction from a meal. You just need to cut out the garbage that makes you the treats. One of my favorite things you say is, you're not a child, you're not a dog, you don't need a treat.
Right.
The treat is the food.
Yeah. Well, we can, it takes some reprogramming, but it can be the point where the really basic meat and veg or meat by itself is the treat. And yeah, some of the other stuff is just, I don't even consider it food, which is not to say that I don't have treats or cheats or whatever we're going to call them, but the predominance of my food intake is supportive food, and I absolutely love it. I'm not even kidding. Like I literally love it. Yeah. And I want people, that's part of the effortless relationship with food, is like loving your food, loving the food that supports you and truly loving it. It just makes it way easier to make food decisions then. And that's, when I think about the effortlessness that I kind of peddle, it's about being liberated from worrying about food. Like, oh, I shouldn't have had that, or oh, really want this. It's like all of those conversations and those battles kind of just, they simmer down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not to say that you never have your favorite treat foods again. Like I always use the example of popcorn, which I love. It ruins me.
Cheesecake.
Instantly.
Cheesecake for me.
Yeah. Yes.
Once a year, if I'm at a wedding or something, I'm eating it.
Yeah. 100%.
And I won't be able to breathe through my nose for 3 days.
That's right.
My inflammation goes, it just does that to me.
Yeah. Well, and so what I really say to people is you're a grown-ass adult, okay? You're a grown-up. So you make your food decisions like a grown-ass adult. And by the way, this goes right into food shopping. Like if a client says to me, oh, I was doing really well, and then I got into the cookies that were in the pantry. I was like, well, what are they doing in there? Like, why are there cookies in your pantry? Well, I brought them home for the kids. I'm like, no.
Nah.
You're the grown-up, you do the grocery shopping, whatever. But like a grown-ass adult, I occasionally eat popcorn, even though it ruins me. It ruins me instantly. Like as I'm eating it, I'm like, this is not good. But I go into that decision with information. It's like, yeah. I know that popcorn's going to ruin me, and I'm opting into it anyway.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll say, ooh, I'd like some popcorn. And then I look at my calendar. It's like, oh, I got like 2 interviews tomorrow and I got a big project due. You know what? I can't afford to be gut rotten and brain foggy. I'm just not going to have popcorn.
Yep.
And that's a grown-ass adult decision too. But either way, it came from a place of information. I know that popcorn ruins me. And I get to make that decision. And then there's tons of power in that. Like there's so much power in information,
Yeah. When I first met you in person was at Mark Sisson's house in Malibu, which unfortunately I think burnt down in one of the fires, which is such a shame.
It got some damage, but it's still there.
Oh, okay, good. I mean, it's just a beautiful place, and you hate to hear that about about someone. So I was spending thousands of dollars to be there, and I wanted to be the absolute top of my game for the training. I didn't touch a bit of alcohol, a carb, nothing for like 3 weeks prior, because I do have whether it's, who knows what the brain damage is from, sports, whatever. I have had brain issues in my life, brain fog, all that kind of stuff, and traveling makes it worse. Mm-hmm. I did everything I could to be on top of my game for that. And I literally, like, he had a dessert that was dairy, and I was like, do I have this? There was corn in one of the salads. I'm like, we're at Mark Sisson's house. What is this? Like you said. And he had dry farm wines for us, and it was really terrific. But yeah, after the first day, and I was like, oh, I'm just with normal people. Like, yeah, be on your game, but I'm just with friends, normal people. You know, we all struggle. So, but with that said, this blew me away at the time. I did not expect it. I was more nervous and more excited to meet you than I was to meet Mark. And right? And like, because we've talked about Mark before, like we fanboyed over Mark. So he's just a terrific guy. So, but yeah, that was like, if you know you have something coming up, it's your responsibility to be the best you can be. It's nobody else's, and it's not your child's fault. It's not, it's your decision. So, and
that can be delivered in an empowering way, not in a shaming way. Not like grow up. It's like, get good news. Mm-hmm. You get to decide what you bring home from the store, and you can decide not to bring cookies home if that's the thing that just inserted you into the shame spiral. If you can say that bag of cookies in the pantry put me right into the thick of the shame spiral, it's like, oh, I got great news for you. You don't have to bring them home.
It's pretty simple. Yeah. So, and we were talking about some energy medicine ahead of time, but I have found, and I didn't know this, but all the times that I did something dumb and I was like, come on, Mike, don't be an idiot. All these things I have found, they might have happened 20 years ago. They have affected my body and how it works today. Yeah. So do not do things that require you to call yourself a name.
Right.
Once you stop doing those things, you will stop calling yourself names. Yeah. So, because I'm telling you, the negative energy you give yourself stays with you. The negative energy that you have when you eat food affects how it digests. So, do you want to talk about body neutrality, or do you want to talk about that another time? Because we're like 50 minutes.
I know. I don't have much to say on it, so we could drop it in.
Sure.
It's just a passion project of mine. It's a side idea that's been bubbling up for me in the last couple years. And so you have the caption here, body neutrality versus body positivity, because the body positivity movement and body confidence, and these are beautiful movements. And I will be honest, like they don't resonate with me, because I'm sick of talking about bodies. I'm officially sick of talking about bodies. I'm done. It's like, I don't care if strong is the new skinny. I don't care about your booty gains. I don't care if you're happy at any size, whatever. I'm just tired of talking about bodies. Can we just stop talking about it?
That one like went over my head at first. I was like, oh yeah, booty gains.
Like I'm tired of it. And probably there's a lot of reasons why it's such it incites such frustration in me for my history of eating disorders. And, I was a model when I was a young kid too, which was stupid because I have no interest in being appreciated. I've never had any interest in being appreciated for the container that I walk around in. In fact, when I was hired by the modeling agency, I was offended. It's like, I'm actually smart, I'm actually a smart person. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, but where this came from, this is a little anecdote. I had worked with a client so sometimes I get clients that are in great shape, but they just want to have that last little bit of pudge, and they want help liberating it. Just as a side note, I'm not working with those people anymore, but for a while I did. Mm-hmm. They're like, I just want to look a little better. I want to get in from my size 6 skinny jeans to my size 4 skinny jeans, which to me is just like, it's just like a foreign language. I'm like, I don't understand why we care about this, but anyway, people care, and like no hate, no shade. I worked with this client. We achieved her goal. She got into her size 4, super skinny, tiny little designer jeans. I bumped into her at the gym one day because we were working. She lives here, but we worked virtually because that's easier. So I hadn't really seen her in person for a while, and we bumped into each other at the gym. And she said, I've been meaning to ask you, like, how are you so confident in your body? She said to me, and I was like, oh, well, I don't know. I mean, like, I was kind of on the spot, right? I'm like, I don't know. I think my body's kind of amazing, and like it's taking really good care of me, and I've abused the hell out of it, and it's still here. It's like, anyway, thanks. That's nice of you to say. And we kind of went our separate way. And then what I realized later is that I think what she was saying was like, how can you be so confident in that body?
Like, you're not perfect. How can you be confident?
Right. And what I was like, it's because I don't care. It's because I literally don't care. I have no idea where I fall on the perfectness spectrum because I don't care. What if we didn't care? What if the perfectness spectrum went away? What if our jeans didn't have sizes in them and you had to just go try them on and then buy the pair that fits and not even know it? Right?
Imagine the hassle of trying jeans on.
I know, but you would never know that number. And actually, I had another anecdote. When I got married, one of my bridesmaids had a meltdown. She's like, Erin, my bridesmaid dress is size 8. I'm like, okay. I'm like, wait, I'm a 6. And I was like, nobody fucking knows that number but you and now me, and I don't care. Like,
so somebody made a dress with the wrong. They made sizing all funny. So
anyway,
but so your value comes in what your body can do. Your value comes in comes in the fact that you can throw a hay bale over a fence if you need to.
Yeah.
Right? That you can shovel the driveway, and then you can go jump on a teach a group spinning class and crush everybody there. Like, that's where your value comes from. Yeah, that and kind of what we talked about earlier, like, wow, my body's amazing. It queued up a hunger signal. Wow, my body's amazing. It's asking me to go to sleep. Wow, my body's amazing. It made me thirsty and I'm going to drink water. Like, just really dorkily, to a dork level, really appreciating my body for what it does and appreciating my brain and just, I don't know. I'm just so tired of talking about bodies. And I've just seen it ruin so many people, women especially, including me. I was embroiled deeply in the eating disorder realm because I had to look a certain way, but it never was important to me. And I just wish it could stop generally being important. So that's why body neutrality versus body positivity is still putting the spotlight on the body. Like, I look like this and I'm proud. It's like, what if we just didn't even say that? What if we just walked around in our bodies and did other epic things? Yeah. And our physical container was an afterthought. Just, Like, I think it's terrific that, okay, I feel a little bit of pain in my back. I know that that's my body telling me to go get an adjustment. Yeah. Oh my goodness, my brain just went boo, 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 boo. I want to go like 4 directions right now. So, but yeah, it's just such a, and I do think the whole strong is the new skinny. I do love that because I think too many people are worried about being so lean, and women especially, not men so much in the lean department, but women are so worried about being so skinny that you do hit this point where you're like, but what can you do? Like, what functionality does your body have at this point?
Hang on.
Yeah.
I would agree with you if it weren't for the fact that strong is the new skinny is the tagline overlaid in front of a girl with a giant squat booty. Yep. It's like, whoa, so either I have to have a giant squat booty and like, sculpted delts. Like, there's strong, there's skinny. What if you're neither of those things? Like, what if you're in the, like, I'm in the middle of those two. I'm neither of them.
For sure. So for me, strong is the new skinny could be like, to me, the strong thing, it's definitely not that. It's definitely not the booty girls. It's not those kind of things. What it should be is a girl climbing a rope because she enjoys it. Yeah. Someone, doing push-ups on their knees because that's how they can do a push-up, not on their feet, doing pull-ups with bands because my wife can't do a pull-up. So she started with bands. And then guess who can do a pull-up now? Doing physical actions that aren't just for boys, that shows and it's if you want to, it's not for everybody, but I think having muscle is so important for longevity.
Yeah, it is.
I think that just matters so much.
It does. And so like you got me there, because longevity is what I geek out on, and strength is an important part of that, muscle is an important part of that. And I think physical fitness is important for physical fitness. You know, when you think about Peter Attia, he's doing his longevity Olympics. He's like, okay, when I'm 89 years old or 100 years old, I'm not going to need to deadlift 500 pounds. That's what I'm going to need to do, is be able to carry my grocery bags up the stairs. I'm going to need to bend down and pick up my grandkids. I'm going to need to be able to get up off the floor if I fall.
Yeah.
Like resiliency is the new skinny or something.
Yeah.
I don't
functional.
know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. I like, yeah. Functional is, or resilience. Cause even the harder to kill, I like that too. Just, you know, being the best you, just being the best you in all areas. So we got a guy, what's he trying to say here? Stop putting raisins in the potato salad. I don't know what that's all about. Is that something, do you know anything about that?
Well, I have my world famous chicken salad that has cranberries in it. Maybe he's mad about that.
I don't know. And
it's the secret ingredient, though. It'll change your life. It'll F you up.
Yeah, right. I love cranberries. So my favorite kind of like hard cider is usually like a cranberry based. You know, the cran ciders for hard ciders are terrific. Yes. So we will wrap this up. Let me share some of. Take that down. Whoops, where are we at? Take that down, and let me share this for you here. Do this, and boom, bring this up. So people can find you on Health Coach Radio with your good friend Laura, and that's who we were talking about early on in the show. And something I love about you is that I could check in on your social media once a month, and every single month you look totally different. So you have the ability to, like right here, kind of like
that's a good haircut. I might bring them on back. I like that one. Kind
of like bubblegummy bopper. And then like right now you're just classic, I would say, is like a good graceful. Like you just have this ability to have just however you feel like looking, you just do it. And it works for you. You know yourself, and it's really it's a really beautiful thing to see. Right there. I couldn't love this more. I just absolutely love this, Erin.
That picture I took a selfie after I washed my horses. And so I'm covered in horse filth and I'm sweaty. and I was like, yeah, this is what I look like almost all the time. Let's capture this.
My wife said something recently, and I'm showing everybody where they can find you. So eat.simple.erin on Instagram. On your website is eat.simple.ca. Mm-hmm. They can find you on Primal Health Coach Radio with Lauren, and that's put on by the Primal Health Coach Institute, Mark Sisson. eat.simple.ca on Facebook. And then you have quite a few articles on the Primal Health Coach Institute as well. So,
and Mark's Daily Apple as well. I'm writing a weekly article.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Mm-hmm. I have been, because the way life has been working for me, I've been like void of social media recently in a lot of ways. But yeah, you have, you are similar to my wife, I think, where you're not really a makeup person most of the time. And my wife, she's gorgeous, and she does not wear very much makeup at all. She does like eyeliner. Yeah. And she's worn so little makeup. She goes, I think something beautiful that's going to happen because of this whole lockdown is women are going to start to think they look normal and pretty and natural and beautiful without any makeup on. Oh, and that's like heaven to me.
I'm dying to see, maybe I might be just like kind of dumbly optimistic, but I'm dying to see how culturally things like that change, and like things that we put importance on for so long. And it's like, I'm curious. Maybe we'll bounce right back to where we were. Who knows? But wouldn't it be cool if we kind of just had that acknowledgement of what's really important, what's really beautiful, and what's really special?
Because right now, most women, not most women, but most women that I know, and this hurts me. They feel awkward without makeup. Yeah. And I want them to feel awkward with makeup. Yeah. Right. I want that to be like should I go out of the house? I mean, should I have lipstick on? This is kind of weird. I couldn't have been more happy when she said that the other day. And she already doesn't wear makeup for the most part. So I was so happy when she said that. That was like, there's so many answers to prayers that are happening with this weird lockdown thing going on. So I'm really grateful for it. You know, we can get into the conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but I'm just looking at the positive. And the positive is that our earth can rebound in a month. The entire earth can clean itself up in a month, which says a lot about a lot of things.
It does.
A lot about how full of ourselves as humans we are, how damaging we think we can be. And something so perfect as the earth is so perfect as our bodies can clean itself in a month. Well,
it's nature and we're part of it. And so I think for a long time we thought we were above it. And it's like, no, we're in it. We're in it. You know, that's pretty cool.
Erin, I think I've officially hit my longest interview so far. And we don't have to end it, but we can end this now. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on. And I want to thank Mark Sisson you know him, he's actually your boss. I've just met him the one time, but he is the reason that we are friends. And he's the reason that a lot of us are friends. Chris Pryor, a couple other people that have been watching, he's the reason for us being together. So I couldn't be more grateful for that. I worked for him for a long time for Primal Kitchen, and it made my life better. And he has changed my life for the better, changed those around me. He is the reason that I'm on the path I am. So I'm really excited for that. So
he would be delighted to hear that.
Well, I have told him that, I think, in the past. So, it's a cool thing to be able to tell the person that did this for you. Yeah. So, Erin, do you have anything you want to leave us with?
No, this was awesome. Great fun, Mike. You're a natural. I'm glad I got to connect with you. It's been a long time. And I'm going to start watching these little guys because I think you've got a real beautiful thing going on here.
Well, thank you. And everybody out there, if Erin just makes sense to you, and if you're looking for someone, her books are closed until September for one-on-one clients, but she does group coaching throughout the year. And I think you're doing a 30-day reboot right now, right?
Right now, yeah. That won't go until September again as well. But I have my books closed, but I've let a couple people sneak in there who are just like...
the people that you connect with.
Yeah, that just really needed help. Actually, I just signed on a client who recovered from coronavirus.
Yeah. So I haven't told anybody, but I've had it like 6 times. So.
What?
Yeah. Oh. It's not a big deal. There's ways to treat it, guys, but I can't say that because I like my podcast and I like this video thing I'm doing, and I don't want it to get shut down like friends of ours have. So, which is really crazy. So, I really enjoy doing this. So please don't shut this down for that little 2-second thing I said.
You're listening.
I'm not that important. So, but Erin, thank you so much. And please, guys, I'm a health coach. I want to help people. But if Erin resonates with you, you need to work with a person that makes sense to you, that works best for you. So, so reach out to Erin. So everybody, thank you so much. And we're going to jump off now. So have a great day.